Hi, I'm Josh Teasdale. For the last 12 years, I've been implementing warehouse management systems for a variety of clients across several industries. 7 years ago, I started Teasdale Solutions to provide robust, individualized services to my clients. And today I'm pleased to introduce Teasdale Solutions' new warehouse management system, Actualize.WMS. Actualize draws on a number of industry standard features common among warehouse management systems currently on the market, while at the same time introducing a number of enhancements which are often requested by many organizations. Actualize also introduces a high level of modularity, which allows it to be customized and tailored to specific business needs, quickly and effectively. During this video, I'll be demonstrating Actualize's user interface and some basic warehouse functions, including inventory adjustments, inventory transfers, receiving a full pallet, and shipping an LTL pallet. On your screen, you'll now see Actualize's base website. At the top of the screen, we have menu options organized to the left for execution activities and to the right for configurations. At the far right, we also have a user menu. And next to the configurations, we have a warehouse search bar. This search bar can be used to search for open or recently closed shipments, open or recently closed receipts, or other menu options. We also have a warehouse dashboard here as the main screen at login. Individual screens are presented on the website in frames, which can be resized and moved around and adjusted as needed. This allows multiple screens to be displayed when information from multiple screens is convenient for an activity. In addition to the website itself, an Actualize desktop app is also available. This application presents the same website with a more desktop-like experience. It also allows the individual screens to be opened as separate windows on your Windows desktop. For operations on the warehouse floor, which require the use of a mobile device, an Android app is available and presents the website with an experience which is more convenient for mobile devices. This actually presents the same website that we see for the main site, but in a menu structure and with screens optimized for a mobile device. For the rest of this demonstration, I'll be using both the primary desktop app and the mobile app to demonstrate functions today. Here we have the inventory search screen. Like many screens in Actualize, related menu options are grouped at the top to allow for quick and convenient switching between related screens. We also have a search button and an export button, an action button, which we'll be getting into in a moment, and a button which allows customization of the columns returned in the search. We have various columns that are returning information based upon our search, and beneath each column header, fields which allow custom search terms to be entered. I'll now demonstrate how to perform a simple inventory adjustment. We'll start off by looking for locations which are empty and don't have any product currently in them. I'll search for a particular aisle and bay, along with a wildcard. I switched the location status to include empty locations. We now see a list of 5 locations in our test warehouse. I'll start by selecting one of these and clicking on our Actions button and Adjust. This brings up a workflow screen, which you'll find common throughout many operations in Actualize. The logic behind this screen is actually independent of the warehouse management system itself and allows many different kinds of functions to be performed in Actualize. I'll select an adjustment type here of positive, confirm our location. We'll see that loose has been entered in the container label as we're neither adjusting into or out of a container. I can then search for a particular item scan in a UPC code, or enter an item name. For this demonstration, I'll enter test item 5, a quantity of 1, and a pallet unit of measure. If we refresh our search, we'll now see that we have 1 pallet available in the location we selected earlier. I can also transfer that inventory to another location with the transfer action. Here we see our from location is already filled in based upon the location we selected in the earlier screen. I'll select transfer, which is an immediate inventory transfer. Other options are available to create movement instructions, which will be executed later to move the inventory. I'll search for another empty location here in the same aisle, and we see a list of locations and their location status next to the name. And here I'll select the location next to the one we're transferring out of, along with the quantity. In this case, let's go with 5 cases. We now see that the 15 cases out of the 20 for a pallet that we initially just did in are in the original location, and 5 are in the location we just did a transfer into. We can also do a negative adjustment using the same screens, selecting the negative adjustment type, confirming we're dealing with loose product, and let's say -1 case. Inventory transactions will document all of the activities we just did, showing the initial adjustment into the location, 400 eaches, which is 1 pallet, a transfer of 100 eaches, the 5 cases from and to those related locations, and then the adjustment out. We'll now move on to checking in a pallet and putting it away. And for this, I'm going to flip back over to our mobile screen, and we'll do most of this on the mobile device. And what you're seeing is actually on the device I'll be doing the demonstration on. We'll start from our main menu by checking receipt check-in, and we'll do a default check-in. Here we see a list of current open receipts. We can search for the receipt by typing in a number or text, scan a receipt ID off of a receiving worksheet, and if that returns only 1 item, it'll automatically enter that receipt, or we can tap a particular receipt. In this case, I'm going to choose receipt 6. We now see the check-in screen, which should look a little familiar when compared with the adjustment and transfer screens, as this is still a workflow which drive many activities in Actualize. We need to fill in an item name, a receipt line, a quantity, and a unit of measure. If we tap on one of these fields, we'll see a drop-down list of the open items on the receipt we've selected. If there's a one-to-one relationship between the item and a line, we'll see that the line is also automatically filled in. We can also search for the lines, and we'll see that the item is filled in. In addition to the item name itself, a UPC or SEC code could be scanned, and as long as that's in the cross-references, that will also be filled in. For this test, we're going to select item 3. We'll do a quantity of 1 pallet. And we see at the bottom a receiving doc has been filled in, which is already present on the receipt header. I'll now click check-in, and this will add the inventory to the receiving doc and run a movement template to locate it to a put-away location. And we'll see we just got a receipt put-away label out of our Zebra printer to direct the put-away. I'll cancel out of our check-in screen. We could check an additional product if we needed to, and go back to our home screen. From here, we'll check movement instructions and receipt put away. Here I'll scan the barcode on our label, which will automatically bring us into our put away. Here we're being instructed to pick the pallet from our receiving dock, and we're being prompted to confirm the container ID. The pick location and item can also be set to require validation, as well as the quantity. I'll again scan our container ID here, which will confirm the pick. These workflow screens will automatically go from one required field to the next, and once they are all filled in, we'll submit the form, minimizing the amount of key presses needed on your mobile device. We're now at this screen being directed to put the pallet to a final pick location. We don't have any validation on these fields, so I'll just hit enter on our mobile device. And with that, the pallet is put away. There are, of course, a number of different ways to do receiving in any warehouse, and there are a number of opportunities to configure the receiving process in other ways besides a simple pallet check-in and put away. But for the purposes of this introductory video, we'll just leave it at that single demonstration. If we go back to our transaction history, we'll see a log of all the operations we just performed for the receiving process. The receipt check-in, a pack transaction, which packed the loose product we checked in automatically into a container, a series of locating transactions, and finally the put away to the final location. Moving on from receiving, we'll now run a quick small order in a wave and pick and ship that order. And for that, I'm going to go into our order planning screen, or order planning menu option, and unwave shipments. Here we see a list of open shipments in the system. I'm going to select our test shipment pallet 1 shipment down here, and to add it to a wave, I'm going to go to Actions and Add to Wave. Here we see a list of available wave flows. If there were any open waves that this order could be added to, those would also be shown down here in the lower half of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and select just our standard wave option here and submit that. We'll see now that the wave has been updated on this line to show that this shipment has been added to a wave. I'm now going to flip over to our wave screen over here, and I'm going to minimize our unwave shipment screens. Here we see that we have a single wave which is open. I'm going to go ahead and run this wave by selecting it and go to Actions and Open Actions. This again brings up a workflow. I'll select a wave master and click Run. We'll now see that the wave line automatically updates, and we'll see a little animation indicating that the wave is running. The wave steps will also automatically update, so we don't have to continually refresh the screen. We'll also keep an eye on the warehouse dashboard. We'll see earlier we have an indication of the movement instruction we used to put away the pallet from the receipt. We also now see that a picking instruction has been created. When we release the wave, we'll also see some additional information show up on our dashboard. We'll click on the wave and confirm we want to release it. We've now got another label from our Zebra printer, and we'll see that our dashboard has been updated with a couple pieces of information. At the top we have a graph to show picking progress. This assumes that the picking starts at the time of the wave release and ends when the order has to ship, and divides the picking with this blue line across that period of time. As we pick our work unit, we'll see bar graphs show up to indicate how much has been picked. In our loading status graph, we'll see a load has been created for this order, and all of the inventory is currently in picking. As we proceed through the shipping process, we'll see that that status changes to indicate progress for that shipment. We also see we have the open picking instruction for our pallet, which we'll pick in a moment. And at the bottom we have a fulfillment rate, which shows statistics by day for the total requested, total shipped, and total shorted quantity for that day. If we end up shorting any items, they'll show up here in the shorted item table. So we'll flip it back over to our mobile device to go ahead and pick this pallet. We'll again go into movement instructions and shipment picking. Here we see our instruction for this pallet, and we'll go ahead and scan our label. We see now the pick instruction, and we'll verify that we're picking the correct container. Again, other fields such as the location, the container, the item, and the quantity can also be set to require validation. And here we're putting the pallet into a staging location, stage 01. As we've confirmed that, we'll see that our warehouse dashboard updates. We see that the entire quantity has been picked and spread across our picking window at the top, and our load has switched from being entirely in picking to pick staged. At this point in time, we'd expect that the pallet we just picked is sitting in a staging location near the ship dock. We'll manage that load by going into shipping and our shipping loads. Here we see a single load which has been created. The next step is to assign our load to a door. We'll do that by selecting the load and going to Actions and Assign Door. Here we can assign a dock door. In this case, we'll do a simple Ship01, and we can also assign a loading appointment start and stop date. This time can be used to adjust the picking schedule on the warehouse dashboard, which we saw earlier. I'll select today's date and add a few hours to the time. Now if we refresh this screen, we'll see that the status has been switched to ready to load. And if we move back to our dashboard, we'll see we have another movement instruction, this time to load the pallet into the dock door. We'll move back over to our mobile device and switch to the loading profile for our movement instructions. Here we see the new instruction which has been created. We'll scan into that again, and here we're being instructed to pick the container from our staging location, which we put it into earlier. We'll confirm again the container ID, and we're being now instructed to put it into a ship location. And I'll just type in the location to verify that. We now see that our dashboard has again updated. The entire load is now in loaded status for this screen. And our movement instructions are all completed. If we flip back to our shipment load screen and refresh that, we'll see that the status has been updated to ready to ship. At this point, we can confirm that shipment, which is the last step, and will decrement the inventory for the warehouse. And we'll now see that that load is closed. And that back at the dashboard, our load disappears from our dashboard along with the picking progress numbers. And we'll see down here our fulfillment rate has been updated to include the total shipped quantity. So that was just a very simple shipping process to approximate picking, staging, and loading a pallet for an LTL operation. Like receiving, of course, there's a number of different ways to do picking and staging and loading in any warehouse operation, and there are many other opportunities to configure Actualize to meet those needs. If we'd like to validate all the work we did today, we can go back to our Inventory Transactions screen. Here we see the adjustments and transfers from earlier in the day, our receipt check-in, along with the new transactions from our shipment progress, including the shipment reservation and the dock movement, as well as the shipment confirmation. All activities which affect inventory levels, whether they be at receiving locations, inventory locations, or outbound shipment dock or staging locations, transactions are written to document any changes in inventory levels. There's much more to see, of course, of Actualize. If you liked what you saw today, please stay tuned for future videos demonstrating additional functionality, or reach out for a live demonstration. Thank you.